Anyway, I'm going to cut all that out. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Film Hustlers. This is a very exciting day because I've got someone on the show that actually has the highest downloads of anybody on the show in 5 seasons, which is pretty amazing. But in addition to that, the last time he was here, he had done some pretty amazing stuff, but now he's done even more stuff. So I'm going to welcome him, but then I'm going to talk about his credits. Tommy Harper.
Woohoo! Hello.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, I'm talking, he's a producer, he's an executive producer, he's a creator, and he works on some of the most remarkable shows. All my favorites, by the way. Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. I'm going to go way back, Tommy.
Okay.
Star Trek Into the Darkness, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, Star Wars episode, what is that, 7?
Yes.
Star Trek Beyond. And then the latest stuff, which is all like my favorite stuff, is Top Gun Maverick, Spiderhead, which was a great movie, Wednesday, Willow. What is Willow? Willow, a TV series.
Yes, from Lucasfilm on Disney+.
Amazing. Yeah. And Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything recent that I missed?
No, there's a movie that's not out yet called Flowervale Street that we're in post-production on.
Where is that coming out on?
Warner Brothers, so it'll be theatrical.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Theatrical. You let me hear that.
Tommy Harper.
Yeah, by the way, my wife, very accomplished and franchise whisperer. No, thanks for sitting in for the foos.
Thank you for having me. Tommy and his wife, Michelle, are two of my very favorite people, so this is exciting.
Well, it's exciting to chat with you, Tommy, because you've been doing some amazing work. I mean, I think the consistent emails and messages are always about like, how do I get started? And last time you were on the show, we kind of went through your beginnings, and it was incredible to see like how you rose through the ranks and ended up becoming so valuable to like some of the biggest. I mean, these are not some of the biggest. These are the biggest people in Hollywood doing the biggest stuff, most creative projects, and entertaining the world. I mean, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars that these films make, and
you give me anxiety now.
Yeah, I'm getting anxiety just saying it. But I mean, you're at the top level of the film industry, and you came up pretty humbly, and decided to do this work. So we don't want to go into the beginning because we already covered that. And if you want to hear that, just go back to the show where Tommy Harper was a guest a couple of years ago. But like since then, you kind of made a shift. You were working with Tom Cruise a lot. Potentially that's going to happen again. But how did you decide to start producing, the series Wednesday and working on Beetlejuice? How did that all come about?
It came about with Tim Burton, and who I had a history with. I worked with him on Big Fish and Alice in Wonderland. He called as Wednesday had just gotten sold to Netflix and was doing the show with the two showrunners, with Al Goff and Miles Miller, and needed a partner for himself to produce a series with. And so he called and asked if I was available, and I wanted to executive produce it with him and the two guys. And I, of course, said yes. I loved him, and I love working with him. And so we kind of partnered again on that. And then as we were in the middle of shooting Wednesday, the first season in Romania, we were in development on a few other projects for him to direct for features. And then he kind of came to me and said, I know what I want to do next is a movie, and I want to do Beetlejuice. And it's the one movie when I'm on publicity tours that people always ask, when will there be a second Beetlejuice? So I know what I want to, I have a story, I have it in, let's talk about it. So we spent a weekend talking about it. He had some drawings, and then we met with the writers from Wednesday, and we loved their writing and had a very good connection with them. And so we sat down with them over a weekend and talked to them about the themes of the movie and kind of the structure and what Tim wanted to do. And then that's how kind of Beetlejuice came in play.
That's amazing. And it's such a huge success all over the world. I mean, all over the world.
Yeah.
Like people are enjoying it all over the world. So congratulations. That's amazing. When you work, what's really unique about you as a producer is you work with directors that are auteurs, right? Like they really are. They write, they direct, they create. everything that they work on. And it seems like everybody you work with is sort of like that. You know,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and Tim Burton and J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
You're not on a first date with these guys.
Right. First of all, they're all very humble. So then they don't think of themselves as like, even though they're authors of their own work, they're not like auteurs, and they're very approachable and they're very problematic, I would say. So my goal as a producer, as a producer, I look at each individual or project differently, and I never produce the same way, which I find very interesting from project to project or person to person. So I think, but the one theme through them all is the people I work with are very creative driven, and they need people like me to execute what their vision is. And I have to create space for them to kind of think, to create, to clear the noise out so they can do what they want. And I think if I can do that for them, then I'm doing my job. And so the more space I can give them, the better. And of course, there's the partnership as you go through the whole project of, you know, dealing with problems and everything that we do. Doesn't matter the budget of the movie or the TV series, but I think it's just the theme throughout is creating space.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
When you work on a project like with Tom Cruise, does Tom, you know, because a lot of times filmmakers make their movie, it goes to the studio creates all of the marketing and all of the posters and all of the trailers. Does Tom or any of these guys, do they get involved with every aspect of the film's final stuff? Yeah,
I think every filmmaker I work with does. They're involved from start to finish. So, and it starts, by the way, at the beginning. You know, as the script's coming into the studio and as you're in development, you pretty soon start discussing with marketing kind of like what you want to see in the next year or two. Depends on when the film comes out or the series, but every one of them is involved hands-on all the way through the process, because it is their vision being kind of developed and written and then shot and edited. And so I think, especially like with Beetlejuice, we, a year and a half before the movie came out, we sat with the marketing team at Warner Brothers and did an 1.5 to 2 hour meeting with them. Yeah. And started talking about like the vision. They had their pitch and vision. It was very kind of high level, but it just created a world for the whole team to start to think about how we would execute the vision of this movie in the marketing phase, amazing. Which was kind of unbelievable. And the team at Warner's was just unbelievable in the collaboration that they had in Tim's vision, and always like kept that in forefront of how they were going to do the campaign. And I think that's with everybody I work with. That every studio or platform, if it's Netflix or Warner's or Paramount, they're very filmmaker driven and filmmaker focused. And so the sooner you can collaborate with those people in the marketing and publicity campaign, phase is the better.
So a year and a half before the movie even started.
Yeah. We took advantage on that movie in particular. We had shot Beetlejuice and had, I think 2 or 3 days left we got shut down for the actors strike. And we were shut down, and we had some time in between coming back up and filming that we were editing and doing stuff. So we took advantage of the time and sat with Warner's marketing, publicity, and the heads of the studio and talked about how we were going to market and put this movie out to the world, and took advantage of that time. Yeah.
A lot of the people that listen, they are aspiring. Some of them are making movies. But I think one of the things that people think about a lot is like when you're successful, when you've got to the point where you're working with big directors, big studios, do you wish there was two of you? Because you can't work, in other words, you can't work with Tom Cruise and Tim Burton at the same time, can you?
Yeah, I can.
You can? Yeah. Oh, wow. Then tell me about that.
No,
how does that work?
First of all, I mean, I and I don't mean that it's the truth, because I literally thought this the other day of like, yes, I have a great career. I don't sit and look at my wall or my, little figures I have in my office, of things on movies and go, oh, wow, I've got such a great career. No, every day I get up and I don't think that I'm successful. I just keep going each day, and I don't look into the future too much. And I do that when I'm working on projects, obviously for planning and kind of like, making sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah.
But I don't go, oh, it's so great, I have such a great career or this and that. You kind of have to put your head down and keep grinding every single day. And first of all, I have an amazing team that works with me. So it's not like I do it by myself, and I've got partners, that on every project I do, and I'm currently doing probably 4 to 5 projects at one time,
at the
same time. But I think the world has changed, and I've kind of we hire teams with us and the collaborators that just make us better, and we have a very good running machine, and I think that's the trick to it all, is you have to have that in place. You have to have good partners that you respect, they respect you, and at the end of the day, it has the same vision of getting the material out in the best way and kind of to the mass audience. If you can do that and surround yourself with the right people, then it is tough, it is challenging, but you just have to manage your day, and kind of like, there's some days where it's like one project that I'm only dealing with, and there's other days where I'm dealing with 5 different projects.
But probably in a tactical way, you try your best not to have the physical shoots overlap.
That is correct. Yeah. That's where it gets really, really difficult, is when you have 2 or 3 projects shooting at one time, and you want to be present with each individual. But I think, there's a producer, Kathy Kennedy, told me years ago of like, a good producer knows where they need to be. And I think once I understood that, and I understood what it meant, it freed out a lot of stress for me, where you can't be everywhere at every single moment. And there's producers that have a lot more projects than I do, and you just know where you have to be. And so if I have several movies shooting at one time, I just know, or different projects, I'll know where I need to be in certain weeks and things like that. When you're prepping and it's a little easier to kind of, be between the two. Some of these projects, the prep is also the most important part of it. So you just need to know where you be and kind of manage it.
Yeah. So like second unit for Tom's movie, you might not be there present that day if Tom's not there.
Yeah, you just know where you need to kind of go, and if you're doing a very kind of intense sequence, you go, okay, I'll be on set this week. And there's also times where you just, honestly, somebody needs a little love, and you show up and you show your face and you do your thing. But I think at the end of the day, it goes back to creating space, and the more you can make sure things are running properly and make sure the studio's happy and collaborative, and all the partners know what's happening, you're not hiding anything, you're very transparent, and you built that trust and relationship, then it makes it easier as you're getting through the film.
It is possible to work on the biggest movies and the biggest TV shows in Hollywood at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, Listen, we just wrapped our second season of Wednesday, and as we were shooting that, Tim and I, we were in the end phase of post-production on Beetlejuice, and mixing and scoring and shooting all at the same time, and flying on weekends to do things. And it was super intense. And I also had a movie in Atlanta filming, and it was probably an experience I because of airplane rides. Like I was completely exhausted, but it was managed properly. And like I said, I am not doing this alone. I have
a team of people,
amazing people,
including Michelle Harper,
including my family and my wife.
And Henry Harper. Yeah.
Hey, wives are important, especially when they're super talented.
A lot of people, when they're starting out, myself included, you step in and you try to figure out like the psychological of the person you're supporting, whether that's the talent or the producer. And sometimes somebody's asking you for their opinion, and sometimes they're just talking out loud and they don't want your opinion. You've worked with some really creative people. How do you handle that? How would you tell someone to handle that situation?
It took me a long time, but I'm sometimes a pleaser. I don't have to solve every problem. That's my biggest thing. Is sometimes I need to just listen, and it is really hard to listen. And I've worked with some people that I've obviously learned from over the years, and it's very. I think one of the most difficult things is to sit in a meeting, let things be talked out, especially in the creative process, and to just sit there and listen. And you don't have to solve every problem. And sometimes this problem gets solved for you. And I think it's, when somebody is calling to have you go fix a problem, and when somebody's calling you just to talk. And sometimes you just have to listen. And you say, I understand what you're going through, and I understand. And it doesn't mean I understand and I'm going to go fix this. It's just sometimes people just need to vent. And I think that's the bottom line, is to try to understand how to navigate those. I don't have the playbook for it. I think part of my thing I'm probably, okay at is understanding how to play those situations, and knowing that sometimes you just have to listen, and sometimes you have to act and solve the problem. Sometimes you have to come up with other solutions, but it is a hard thing to navigate.
I'm going to shift gears for a sec. When you worked on Top Gun Maverick, you worked with a great director.
Yeah, Joseph Kosinski. Yes.
Joseph Kosinski, and you guys had a pretty decent relationship.
We have a great, We did Spiderhead together.
And then, so you did Spiderhead together. Yeah. So explain how Spiderhead came along. Was it partially, had you met the director of Top Gun before Top Gun?
Yeah, no. So Joe and I, we met because I was at Bad Robot and I was exiting out of Bad Robot because I wanted to get back into producing and freelance producing. And Tom had called me, Cruise, and said, I have this movie that we're starting to talk about, and it's Top Gun, and you should go meet Jerry and then
Jerry Bruckheimer.
And so I went to go meet Jerry and had a quick meeting with him, and they had just started talking to directors. And then like a week or so later, I met Joe, and we hit it off right away. And that was a really great experience, because we were developing the script, and Joe and I really had to get involved in the Navy and figure out what that all meant, which is really just to understand how it works takes months, and try to, So we spent a lot of time, just the two of us together, driving around to air bases and scouting locations and on bases, and looking at every kind of type of military aircraft. And so we got pretty close and had a great working relationship. And we shot Top Gun. And as we were shooting Top Gun, he identified what he wanted to do next, his next movie, which was Spiderhead. And it was set up at Netflix with Eric Newman, another producer. And I think the three of us just kind of started working on it as we were in post on Top Gun, because we had some extra time. And that's how that came together. And we shot it in Australia during the pandemic.
That is so cool, because I think a lot of us, and I think in life, it's not just producers, but the idea that you get along with someone so well that you creatively start figuring out how you could work together, and then sometimes that falls into place. So that's a good place to look for opportunity too. While you're on something, find out who you jive with.
Yeah, if you're working with somebody and you feel like, we're working together well, we understand each other creatively, we're in sync, and then it's kind of like, what's next? And there's some people who don't want to think about what's next until the present is done. And there's others who are like, okay, I know it's going to take a year to get the thing going. Like, what do we want to do next? Or what are the next 2 or 3 projects that we can line up? Because not everything happens. By the way, I will say, all of these projects and movies, it isn't a slam dunk. It doesn't matter if you're doing an indie or a big tentpole feature. Like, nothing's guaranteed. Right. So
that's what I was wondering about Beetlejuice, because that's one of those things that I'm sure everybody's like, oh, you can't do a sequel. Oh, don't ruin it, you know? And so I'm sure that's always in the back of Tim's mind. Yeah. And, and then one day you decide, I am going to do it. I have the right thing. Like, that's interesting. Yeah,
it took him, as he says, 35 years to figure out what the story was. And he's not wrong in it. And it really did. But it was listen, we worked on the script. There was a change at Warner Brothers and who was running it. And as the time we were turning in the script, and Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi read the script and with Kevin McCormick and Jesse Ehrman, and they kind of were like all on board and wanted to do it, but we had to make it for a price. And we had to do certain things that got it made for a price. And part of that was deferring payments and figuring out how to cut the budget in certain ways and doing it in a certain amount of time. Wow. And, but
So when you say that, just for people who don't know, you mean you had to back into a budget.
We had to back into a number and take our salary and kind of put it into the budget. But by the way, the right thing to do, because you can't make movies. It's a business as well, right? So I'm working with extremely talented and creative people, but they are also very business smart. They know, they've been doing this for a while. Things have to be done for a certain price, else you don't have profit at the end, and then therefore businesses don't exist. So you just have to look at things differently, especially today's world. And it's really hard to do these things. But, Beetlejuice we shot in 40 plus days, 47 days, I think it was, or around there. And made it for a number and made it practical. And people kind of are shocked at the number of days. And it was really hard. And I wish we could have given him a few more days. And we shot in 2 different countries, in England and
Dude, 45 days is
That's
really short schedule for
yeah.
that level of
makeup
movie.
effects and, and all that. But I'll tell you this, is everybody was on board. All the cast, Tim, crew, DP, AD, everybody was on board to get it done. And it was great. It was a lot of fun.
And that's a good lesson too, because I think everybody hears those 1% stories where it's like, oh, and so flipped a table and got $10 million more dollars. That's really rare. And also at this moment in time when people are just getting back to movie theaters.
Although Bruckheimer's great at that. I think I went to see Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. And he was speaking afterwards, and he talked about we had 280 million, but we needed 350 million. He talks about how he got that.
And it's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
Yeah. And I think it's, listen, it's just like everybody is, especially, just our partnership at Warner's they're great because they're producers and they know what it takes to make films, and you can have those open conversations. And I think that's the most important thing to have, like going back to where I started, was having the trust and the relationship with the studios to be able to have those conversations openly and not have people really get upset and knee-jerk, okay, I understand you're whatever, 10 million, you need $10 million more dollars, but we can't do that. So how do we get to a place where we're all happy? And those are the conversations that you want to build up in advance. So when you need those conversations, they go smoothly. Okay,
so this is something everyone's going to want to know.
Okay.
And so that dance that went viral.
Yes.
First of all, how did you know that she was going to be a huge star? And how did the dance come about?
We were extremely lucky to cast Jenna in the role. I mean, Tim talks about this all the time, and she's an amazing person and actress and producer, and we did not know the show was going to be what it was. That's the honest answer. And when we were making it, it was like the little engine it was the little independent movie or whatever to get made.
Felt that way, yeah.
Honestly, and we went to Romania and we made it for cheap and
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is
beautiful. Really beautiful.
And we shot it like a feature because that's what Tim knows how to do. And it wasn't like, oh, Tim Burton's going to go now direct in the TV model. It was like Tim Burton's going to direct how he directs, and we're going to have to figure out how to work in that model and do it for a price and et cetera. As we started seeing dailies, we knew there was something special. And by the way, she had a great career before Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it just kind of like
it went crazy.
It just rests all on her shoulders crazy, too.
And by the way, we did not even know it was going to be the success it was. Moments before it was coming out, we were extremely nervous.
Did it test well? Do you know if
it tested good? But the reviews were a little rocky. The kids were watching stuff that was extremely dark at the time. Euphoria and different things like that. But what we did have is a series for everyone, and didn't matter the age that you were, you could watch it. So that was really unique. I think Jenna, once you saw the series, you knew she was going to be something,
you knew immediately,
but she just rocketed right then and there. The dance itself, no, we did not go in, nor do we ever go in and go, oh, we're going to do this for TikTok or do this. That's never our approach. Yeah. I think the dance itself, Tim had a song that probably nobody ever knew until the movie. A certain generation did, but it caught on, right? And he had this song that was in his head, and we shot it after our holiday break. You take a 2-week break for the holidays, and before the holiday, Jenna and Tim got together, and he said, "Here's the song I want to play," and I don't want to have a choreographer do the dance. I want it to be you, and I want us to work on it together. So think about it. And she went and did her research, and she came up with all kinds of things. The two of them worked together, and then they got on the set. And just, he likes to have a lot of improv on the set too. That doesn't mean it's not thought out and rehearsed and figured out in advance. But I credit that to Jen and Tim and coming up with that. And then it just bizarrely, the way he shot it, everything just came together, and it just blew up as we saw.
Fun. It was so fun to watch and to see people like adopt it all over the world and all over the internet. It was just so funny. And when you saw the movie and her dance in the movie, there wasn't really any thought about it, right? You were just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I think it was like, for me, I looked at it and went, this is really cool, and kind of like
wild.
But it's one of those things in projects, you see things, somebody jumping off a building or somebody doing this or doing that, and you go, these are like really kind of, the word iconic is always used and probably overused. But it's very kind of like in time, you kind of look at certain things that happen in projects you work on, and you go, this is going to be something that goes down. And you kind of in the back of your mind go, it's really cool. It's a trailer moment, or whatever it is, but you never know what's going to happen and catch on. This is just one of those things that
people are going to dance it all over the world.
And then every question is like, when are you going to do it again? We're like, no, stop. Like you can't play with, you just make one good
That's interesting that you say a trailer moment, because you're right. That's what it used to be.
Yeah.
And 4 quadrants used to be co-viewing. It's just so interesting because with streamers, and with social media, you can't say co-viewing anymore because nobody's watching things together. So now it's 4 quadrant.
Yeah.
And a trailer moment now becomes viral. It's just an really interesting time.
It is, but we never go into any project, anybody I work for, that say we're going to do these things for a trailer, or do these things for this or this. And I think that's where if you do that, then good luck. Maybe there's people who do that really, really well.
I don't think there is.
No, and
that's magic.
Even with people like, press would ask us, you guys going to do another Beetlejuice movie? It's like, have you been talking about it? And it's like, well, it hasn't even come out. We never talk about it.
Calm down.
But you just make whatever you're doing at that moment, you try to make that the best thing, stand on its own. Then you go from there, whatever.
Do the best you can do.
Yeah.
Wait, before you leave Wednesday,
Yeah.
What is Lady Gaga playing
I have
in
no
the
clue.
series?
I don't.
Come on.
I have no clue.
Okay.
We're going to find out. We'll find out. We're going to.
But is that true?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was released from you, gentlemen. No,
No.
okay.
For,
All right.
for next time. Let's talk about extrememusic.com for a sec. The best music library in the business. I still continuously use. I even used them on my Netflix movie. There was a moment where my music supervisor was not giving me the music that I liked.
Yeah.
So I just took a night and I said, you know what? I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sit down with some tequila.
I rember that.
And I'm going to listen to.
What kind of tequila?
It was Casa Mexico tequila,
Okay.
who is not a sponsor. But I went to the site. I listened to as many hours as I could that night. Came up with about 10 songs.
Yeah.
They were all terrific, and we used almost every one of them in the movie.
Wow. What's the platform?
It's extrememusic.com.
Extreme
Thanks
Music.
for
I used
asking.
it for all my Disney.
Did you really?
Fairy Tale Weddings, all 3
How come I didn't know
seasons of
this?
it.
Get out of here.
No, I've used it in unscripted my whole life. They're great. It's a great library.
They are the best in the biz, and I use them every chance I get. And it's funny because I do a lot of Christmas stuff, and if you punch in Christmas and they bring up the Christmas music, there is like the same stuff over and over again. But you can get, just like you do on Google,
Keep
if you
curating it differently,
keep
and
curating, say different words,
Yeah.
and it brings up music that feels Christmassy, but maybe doesn't fall under the Christmas
That's
banner.
great.
So I use a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially for the drag queen scene.
Oh, it's the best
I had a drag
scene
queen scene in Meet Me
ever.
Next Christmas, and I used it for that.
I love me some Kaylin.
But anyway, extrememusic.com for all your music needs. They are terrific. Tommy, last thing.
Yeah.
So we were talking about being able to produce various things. Like Jerry Bruckheimer produces like 30 things at the same time. Is that where you're headed?
Listen, I would.
Come on.
Yeah. Tommy.
I would love to be a little sliver of Jerry Bruckheimer at all. One, I think he's just a great person and great human. He's an icon. I will never be Jerry Bruckheimer, but I love what he's
it's
amazing.
fun.
I think you are. I think
it's-
you're the Jerry Bruckheimer of our generation.
I want to tell a story about Jerry Bruckheimer just real quick. So years and years and years ago, before I started producing, or around when I was starting, I got invited to go to a Kings game. I was sitting and I had my foot up at the stairwell, and here comes Jerry Bruckheimer, grabs onto the guardrail. He had his hand on my foot, right? On my shoe.
Yeah.
And he turns around to talk to Gretzky's wife.
Iconic.
And he stays there with his hand on my foot, talking to her for about, I'm not going to say like 2 or 3 minutes. And I was just like, I didn't want to move. I wanted to be the guardrail.
You wanted to feel his
I
leg.
wanted to be the rail. And I just stood there while he held my foot. I said, I must be getting something out of like the energy coming into my foot. Anyway, it was the coolest thing that had happened to me in my whole life at that point. So it's fun that you know him that well, because he is amazing. And you're right there with him, man, doing amazing work. Thank you for coming to talk to us again.
I love it. Anytime.
People love your podcast, so now they have something else to listen to and aspire to and hear about, and you're very inspiring.
Can I ask
Thanks
one
for
question?
having me. Yes.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, double finish. Go.
I just want to say, and you could use this instead of the other one if you feel
Encore.
like it.
Yeah.
When you talk about you're doing all the blockbusters, are you also looking for new writers? Are you looking at
good
scripts
point.
to develop
Thank you.
on your own that you bring to them, or
Yes.
that you produce with other people? What does that look like, your slate?
Yeah, I mean, yes and yes. I mean, there's the studio films that I have going with filmmakers I've worked with, and things that are kind of in the studio system, and then there's side projects that I have on my own that aren't with some of the people I'm working with. Like I have a book called Sometimes I Lie that's I'm working with Matt Charnan, who's a writer who did Bridge of Spies, and he and I are developing this with Alice Feeney, the author, and we just got the pilot. So that's something kind of on my own without Tim, Tom, JJ, any of them. and then there's a few other projects that I have that, you know, that are kind of very early stages of development. So yeah, but I'm to be honest with you, I've kind of, yes, I am always looking for things. I would love to do a small indie movie, very like a character drama piece or something. You know, I would love to do something like that. I just met with somebody the other day, a book agent, who was like, what projects are you looking for? And I'm a little like, it's like my Spotify playlist or Apple Music playlist. I'm all over the place in genres. I really do love everything. I love big popcorn blockbuster action, you know, kind of event films. I watch a lot of television, and I watch anything and everything. But I just want to make things that people want to tune into and watch. And that's kind of a broad scope, but it's like what motivates me and makes it exciting for me is just, I love thrillers. I love kind of things that get you and just pull you right in. I love character-driven pieces. So, yeah, I'm always looking for things. I just am very strategic on what I can do, because I don't want to waste people's time as well. I don't want to just have 5 things that kind of go in spirals for 15 years, even though we all know it. By the way, for everybody listening, we have projects that have taken years and years to get done. So things don't happen quickly. It just takes time. So, but it's more about, for me right now, trying to make sure I believe and love something, and then I'll take it on.
And you're making room for that, which is,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Favorite movie of all time?
Oh, you always do this. Heat was always my favorite, my go-to. Loved it.
And what currently your favorite movie?
I just saw Nora a couple weeks ago, which I thought was really, really great.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you see My Old Ass?
I saw My Old Ass, and Maisie Stello is great in that, who's the lead actress, and she's in Flowervale Street.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I loved
She's
it. And
great.
Yeah, and I'd heard about this movie for a long time, and I watched it when I was in Dublin, you know, doing Wednesday on a weekend, and I just was like, this movie's really, really good.
She's amazing. She is the movie.
She is the movie.
she's so good.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your career with us. And we're wishing you all the luck. We're hoping to see a lot of really great things. I really want you to work with Tom Cruise again, just because I love Tom Cruise. He's he's the best of all time.
Yeah.
But thanks for being here. And thank you for filling in for the guys. And we'll see you next time on Film Hustlers.
Yay.
That was awesome. Yeah, yay. Absolutely. Hope it recorded.